Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Informator's webinar, Zero Trust Deployment with Microsoft 365. My name is Sasha, and I'm a Security and Azure MVP as well as a certified trainer, MCT Regional Lead, and certified EC-Council Instructor as well. Been doing cloud since late 90s, since the Windows version 3, and playing with Azure and other cloud providers since their beta versions more than 10, 12 years ago. Anyway, this is not about me. It is about Microsoft 365 and more importantly, Zero Trust implementation. Zero Trust is a wide, I would say, um, term. This would be our agenda for our short 30 minutes. It will be, of course, only the introduction because Zero Trust requires a little bit more, not just half an hour, but a couple of days or weeks or even months if we have more complex environment. But anyway, the point is to direct you into the right direction and also to make note of a few very important parts and things. And especially the main purpose is to give you a framework how to work with, where to start, and what to use so you don't wander around with Microsoft 365 and Zero Trust in particular. So uh, what we are have today on the agenda is deployment of Zero Trust and few essential steps for that. Configuring Zero Trust, managing, and so on. But well, anyway, let's get started. First of all, a little bit of introduction. What it is. Zero Trust is a new. Why new? It is under quotes. You will see that in the next slides. Is a new security model that assumes breach and verify GT requests. We already know Zero Trust has been here for a while. We already know that, but it's very important to reiterate that and to remember that it assumes all requests that originate from uncontrolled network, which means uh, Zero Trust teaches us to never trust, to always verify. So what it is actually it's not a product, as one of my colleagues said in a joke. Let's buy 50 licenses of Zero Trust and start on Monday. No, that's not how we are doing that. Zero Trust actually is a journey, is a model, it's a philosophy, it's a security strategy, in fact. So let's just reiterate very quickly: verify explicitly, assume breach, and use the principle of least privilege, which in fact has been here for ages and way before Zero Trust actually emerged. Principle of least privilege. It's common to every operating system since Linux, since very early times of computing. But anyway, Zero Trust is often also referred as Zero Trust Security Model, ZTM, or Zero Trust Architecture, ZTA, or Zero Trust Network Access, ZTNA. Anyway, first mention actually was, and the Zero Trust term was mentioned and established for the first time in April 1994, actually. So, formalizing trust as a computational concept is a doctoral thesis of Stephen Paul Morse from University of Stirling, and Stephen Paul Morse actually was the first who ever mentioned Zero Trust. After that, at the Jericho Forum, Google and other vendors, in fact, reiterated the importance of Zero Trust in computing. That was somewhere at the beginning of 2000 of the new century, 2000, 2004, and later. So it is not as new as we thought it was. But Zero Trust Principle, which is verify explicitly and never trust anyone and soon breach, it's a philosophy. It's a trust, is a journey, and in fact, we need to have products actually that align to that philosophy, to that characteristics. What it means that the products that align to that Zero Trust are in fact the ones that collect that work accordingly, that collect signals that are now many more than have to be before, that were before. Previously, we were only in a network. Then we just confirmed that we had a correct username and password, and that's it. After that, the access control lists and everything assumed responsibility. Actually, we did limit who has access to what, and by using identities, ACL lists, and so forth. But no system could was able to tell whether the correct person actually is using these credentials for the first, and if indeed the correct person was using these credentials, there were no signals that were collected beyond that, and that person could have done harm as well to the systems. So anyway, we need products as well that align to the zero trust. And as we need these products, of course, there are many of them, and I would say practically, well, not all of them align to that, actually collect signals. But since we are in a cloud, there are products that are collecting extensive logs. The data as we log in, as we work with these products, there are many of attributes that can be collected and examined in this journey. So we can make some more informative decisions on that way. But still, since we have a lot of products and a lot of capabilities and everything, there is still a way how to do that. And as similarly as there is the Microsoft Cybersecurity Reference Architecture or other zero trust or rapid deployment plans. This means that this is the intention of this is to give you the framework to actually pinpoint you to the right direction how to do that. Anyway, zero trust architecture begins with the policies and the security policy enforcement. And in fact, the core of the zero trust is the conditional access, but also we can, in fact, well, I would say limitedly with a little bit of limited capabilities, implement this without this conditional access, but very, very, very in a very limited way. Conditional access is here the core of the zero trust policy, the evaluation of attributes of policies and enforcement of these policies after we've evaluated what we needed to evaluate. So, for example, whether the identities are okay or endpoints are adjacent to the policy, whether any of these have any connection to the threat protection, whether these are coming from access, for example, requests from a malicious network that is today malicious, that yesterday hasn't been before. For example, today the completely normal network could have been now breached and taken into the bot network, for example. So we need to evaluate that accordingly as well. And then we have other attributes from the network data, applications, infrastructure, and so on. And specifically, identities, devices, app network infrastructure need to be configured with appropriate security. Anyway, deploying Zero Trust for Microsoft 365 actually also has involves a couple of steps to do so. Zero Trust begins with a foundation of identity and device protection, of course. So we have this Zero Trust architecture that where security policy enforcement is at the center of Zero Trust architecture. Then we have these identities, devices, and other infrastructure components that these are also configured with appropriate security. And then we have Zero Trust deployment stack, I would say, for Microsoft 365. So there are, of course, many security information protection capabilities that have been built into the Microsoft 365. But of course, there's still some proper or I would say desirable way how to do it, and that will give you the, I would say, less friction, bigger return on investment, easier and correct way to do that, and especially correct way to do that, because there's always out of 100 things, there's always we have to make a first step, and there's always the first thing that we have to do, and that should be the most important things. But what important? What is the most important thing out of these 100 or 1,000 steps that we need to do? And that will be these at the bottom. We see in that picture that we have Zero Trust Foundation. We have set of actions on different tiers. We have blue, green, and light blue, and these orange types of assets and protections and tiers. And out of these four, we also have some things that we should do first because they form a foundation. Similarly, as we have the Azure, not Azure, but Active Directory services on premises. So when you deployed ADDS on premises, what you have done first, of course, first you set the physical network correctly, cabling, patching, and everything. Then you had to set or even now we have to set IP addressing, then DNS, and then Active Directory on the top. So there's no way around, right? Here as well, we have to configure cloud identity, whether it's cloud only or hybrid, whatever it is, federated, pass through, pass the hash, whatever the cloud identities and authentication methods are. The identities are today the new boundary, new security boundary. So we need to set up these correctly first. And after that, these are the starting points of zero trust security. And of course, multi-factor authentication is one of the biggest and most important things. It sounds stupid. It sounds that we are listening to this over and over again, but still, the statistics say are not in favor. The statistics say that on average, 40% today of users and administrators have turned on multi-factor authentication and protection. And multi-factor authentication now can solve you of 99% of identity-related attacks and headaches. So this should be one of the first things that you should do. And after that, enrolling devices into management, configuring compliant policies should be the next steps. That should be the things that we should do. Then again, zero trust identity and device access protection starting point policies are the ones that we should do. So anyway, are in fact policies include policies at 3 levels of protection: starting point, enterprise, or specialized, and some additional policies for external users and for different applications. So there you have, of course, need to have Microsoft E3 or E5 Enter ID in either of these models, in cloud only, password hash sync, or PTA. Anyway, the second step will be management of endpoints with Intune, or any kind of endpoint management will be okay. And in this case, since we are talking about Azure, since we are talking about Intune, Microsoft 365, Microsoft products, of course, these work the best together, and we have the conditional access on top of that. So there we have three types of policies, 3 protection level based policies: starting point policies, enterprise, and specialized security. We've seen that in Microsoft 365, and of course we should enroll devices in Intune, whether these corporate owned devices can be enrolled automatically or manually. Prerequisites are to register endpoints with Microsoft Entra ID, and create starting point. The starting point would be requiring MFA, block clients that don't support modern authentication, for example. High-risk users had to change password, for example, policy, and require proven applications and app protection policies as well. For the enterprise policies, should be we should set up the required MFA when sign-in risk is high, for example, or medium in higher, more strict environments. And also for the enterprise policy, we should define device compliance policies. So minimum configuration requirements, one policy for each platform, for example. And also requiring the policy on the enterprise level should be that require compliant PCs and mobile devices. We should enforce the configuration requirement for these devices. Fortunately or unfortunately, well, depending how you look at it, we need E3 or E5 for that because of these policies. So specialized security policy should be that we always require MFA. So the users must perform MFA anytime they sign in into the organizational service. Without that, there is no zero trust. So we have to have these as well. Application protection policies should be on the different levels. For example, on the enterprise basic data protection for the as a basic minimum protection for the enterprise device. And then we have two more app protection policies for the enhanced data protection and high data protection, depending on how sensitive our data is within environment, within the enterprise. Device compliance policy should be each we should create a policy for each PC or each phone or each tablet platform, and that means Android, iOS, iPadOS, or Windows 10, Windows 11, and later as well. Managing endpoints with Intune. There are, of course, some steps. Configuring these start point policies. When we, after that, we enroll device instance management, configure these policies, set up these three-tier policies, very important. Without these policies, we can't talk about zero trust. That makes our devices or actually environment in tremendously more secure. After configuring enterprise, which are recommended base policies, we have also different tiers of policies that should be implemented as soon as possible. And then we should harden these devices against these threats using these policies. And of course, the sixth step is monitoring device risk and compliance. Monitoring, I would say, on top of it and on side of it should be the priority as well and implemented from the very beginning. Because if you do monitoring, as some of the companies do wrongly, if you do monitoring at the end or in the middle of the implementation and integration or deployment of zero trust or any deployment, whatever it is, then you're losing valuable data and valuable insight, and you are more vulnerable during the deployment, during the initial phases than afterwards as well. And you will, if you don't implement monitoring and correct, not just monitoring, but alerting from the very beginning, you will lose a very important insight and very important troubleshooting and security data that could use that you can use, and that can save you a lot of headaches when figuring out whether you have been breached or you have some malicious intent in there, and for performance issues and so on. So a very important thing to do that as well. Zero trust identity as a step 3, and device access protection enterprise policies, we mentioned that as well. So these are the different steps how to include these policies into your environment. And for the step 4, we do have a Defender XDR, which is actually Defender XDR is an extended detection and response solution. So you have to have to provide your devices with the correct protection. So without protecting not just devices but also different parts of the enterprise, like endpoints or email collaboration applications, or cloud applications, or internal identities with appropriate products, then you are opening your environment for for more chances to be breached. So if an attack if you don't protect accordingly, then anything can be an attack vector. And well, you might think that this is not important, or that this is a very minor thing, or that is well hidden, or whatever. You think this is not true. The the bad people, the attackers, are going for the are going to find it. And if you have something to if you have something unconfigured, it will be found. Or if you have some unprotected, it will be found. These are not manual processes that these people are attackers are doing. These are automatic processes. And after sorry, and after the after the protect been found. The step 4 also includes strengthening the security posture with 365 Defender, or XDR, as we say. So there are a couple of steps that we can do. Configuration of capabilities, that means criticality to have full visibility into the assets. It's important. So you can protect what you can see. So you have to configure and discover protected devices in the organization against threats. Otherwise is an open book. Then assess and protect your assets. So you need to understand your organization and the tools you have and the data you have to protect your assets. So critical to understanding security is to have a comprehensive overview of what you have, what your assets are. And then Defender for Endpoint actually device inventory provides you with exact and accurate view of all the assets in the network, not just on premises assets, but also the cloud assets, the assets that are added with Arc, and so on. So the ones that are added with Defender for Cloud, server protection plans, etc. This includes Kubernetes clusters, physical devices, virtual devices, virtual servers, and so on. And investigation and improvement of the security posture. So it is not just enough that you have deployed all possible protection policies. So you have to at least protect well identities. With there is no doubt of that. Devices, because everyone has devices. We have to work with some kind of device. So all organizations have an identity and a device. So at least we have to protect these. And the third thing that is most important, all organizations, well, I would like to think that all have email collaboration. So Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Office 365 should be implemented. And if you have synchronized identities, then please also consider Defender for Identity, because it is a tremendously, it's a brilliant product that can protect you from a very sophisticated attacks. I wouldn't say that you're going to be there's no 100% secure environment and enterprise. What you have to do, you have to prolong the time the attackers need to get what they are after. So instead of making available and making possible to the attackers to get to the data in 5 days or 3 days or in 7 days, implementing all security capabilities and features will take them to that data in 3 months or 6, and that will ruin their return on investment. Say they will need more time, they will need more knowledge to do that, and they will need then they will have to go over a couple of products and protections. That means their attempts will be, there is a higher chance to be spotted, and of course to be logged as well. And monitoring is here very important one. So we need to track, maintain, and continue to improve the security posture, because this is not over when you deploy Defender and when you see these assets in the Defend for Endpoint portal. It's not over. You need to go through each and every recommendations and see whether these are applicable, whether what you can do about these, and please do address them, every single of them. So probably not, your score is not going to be secure score, compliance score is not going to be 100% ever, but at least you have to figure out what's important, what you need to do, and if there's something you can do, please do it. So the list of the top 10 security recommendations, and the list has always the biggest bang for the buck. So these points there in the portal are not just for kids, for gamification, for just because we like to have some points. No, these are aggregate points that need that have the purpose to show the busy admin in a second what is most important. So a recommendation with 50 points is it's an aggregate score because it's the most important than the one that has, for example, like score 1. And please address these accordingly. Don't skip over some of these. And at the end, there's a journey to protect the data. The data need to be protected, but how do you protect something that you don't know that you have? First of all, you need to discover the data, and discovering the data actually is the first and crucial step, because if you don't know what you have, then how do you know how to protect? Uh, After you discover what you have, then the second part is classification of the data, because not every document needs the same level of protection, same tier of protection. There are some more highly uh, confidential documents, for example, like payrolls or contracts, or any kind of bank accounts, whatever they are, and some internal memos are of the lower priority. So place protections accordingly. And after discovering and classifying, protect sensitive information. And there are a lot of tools to do that. So we do have Microsoft Purview information protection capabilities. We have data loss protection capabilities. We have inside the risk capabilities. We have a lot of these. So whatever license you have, please use these licenses, use the capabilities to protect the data accordingly, because it when it happens, it's too late. You need to set this up way before it happens. DLP, for example, and insider risk. Well, insider risk can be done a little bit more quicker, but the DLP actually requires a little bit more time and more, it requires a little bit longer deployment. So it will take time. Information protection, labeling, and discovery will take time. So please start with these as soon as possible. You don't have to start big, but start small. For example, there might be like 10, 20 different types of documents that you need to protect with different levels, but you will surely know what are, for example, top 3 high confidential protection documents that need to be protected. For example, like contracts. A lot of companies have contracts and or employee sheets or and so on. So these are the ones that you should protect first, and set up very well the first DLP protection policy as well. So there are a couple of things that and products that we have, like Purview, Priva, and so on, for classification, for governance, and for protection, discovery of identity assets, and different things. But you should start with this in mind. So assess, protect, and govern, stay on track, and respond. So it means that you need to see what kind of documents you have, protect them accordingly, and and reevaluate and reassess these. It will take a little bit time more than with the others, but start as soon as possible. Purview Information Protection actually provides this framework and processing capabilities to accomplish very specific business protection objectives. Once it happens, data leakage, then it's hard to find out. And when you find out, it might be too late. And this happens in all the phases, not just after that. And especially it happens in the beginning and start phase. So please protect your assets accordingly. These were the five steps configuration of zero trust identities and endpoints, device protection, enterprise policies, XDR, and governing of the data. There is a lot more than that. If you want to learn about Microsoft 365 information protection, zero trust, security, please visit the informator.se. Get in contact and ask for any official Microsoft course or any custom course. Get in contact and we can tell you more about that. Thank you all for being here today, and see you at the next webinar.